Hey everyone, in this video we're going to take a look at part 9 of the Hercules story from Ritchie's Fabulae Faciles. So this is called Hercules Consults the Oracle. And if we think back to the overall Hercules story, the last thing that we saw is Hercules had murdered his family, right, in that fit of madness, and he had gone to the oracle at Delphi to try to find out what he needs to do to atone for his sins, right? So he had asked the oracle for help, basically, because he wanted to kind of make up for this horrible crime he'd committed of murdering his family. In this chapter, now we're going to see what the reply is, right, what the response is from the oracle. So like I always tell you in these videos, the first thing you want to do is try to make sure that you have the vocab down. So scan the story, right? If you're using a commentary that might have it, that would be helpful. If not, scan it yourself and just make sure that you understand what all the words are. Or maybe try to find an online dictionary or something where you can look them up, make a list, just practice it so you can feel comfortable with the vocab you're about to see and the grammar too. Right? If there's anything you're like, I don't understand what's going on, it would be good to prep that. But what you really want to do is read this story out loud, right? So if you can find someone to read it back to you after you read it to them, that would be ideal. This way you're practicing, you're speaking, you're listening. Particularly the listening would be really, really helpful because it'll help you learn the Latin as you go and pick up on the patterns, right? And so you never want to shut off those skills. So like I always tell you, try to find someone you can read this to and have them read it back, and you should be in a pretty good place. But once you're ready to dive in, the story starts like this. You have ubi Hercules finem fecit, Pythia primo taceba. Right. So when Hercules, fake it is perfect tense, he made an end, a finem, right? Meaning he made an end to his, request to the oracle. He was asking, what do I need to do? So basically saying when he's done, right? Pythia, remember this is the priestess who kind of speaks for the god Apollo. Pythia at first, primo, takebat, was silent. So there's a moment where the Pythia doesn't say anything. It's just she's sitting there in silence, right, thinking. Then you have tandem tamen, usit eum ad urbem Tirinthia ire et Eurysthie regis omnia imperata facere. So here, she finally does respond, okay? So you have finally, or at last, however, right, tandem tamen, she ordered, usit, that's perfect tense, and it's talking about Pythia. So she ordered him, meaning Hercules. You have a complementary infinitive here. She ordered him to go, ire, right? Where is he going? Ad urbem Tirinthia, to the city of Tirins, right? Tirintha. So she orders him to go to a specific city in Greece. And if you're, if you're wondering why it's spelled Tirintha, that A ending is the Greek accusative singular. So it is actually matching with urbem, but whenever you have the name of Greek cities, it always looks a little different, right? But that's what you're looking at here. So not only does she order him to go there, but also she orders him to go and to do, facere, omnia imperata. So omnia here means all. Imperata is a perfect passive participle. Literally the things having been commanded is what it means. But we can shorten that to commands, right? So to do all the commands of King Eurystheus, right? That's the Eurysthie regis, right? So of King Eurystheus, this is the king. If you've heard the story about Hercules and the 12 labors, this is the famous king who's telling him to do all these things, right? So he gets this response of go to Tirins and find this king and just do everything he tells you to do, right? Which are going to be his 12 labors. Then you have Hercules, ubi haec audivet ad urbem illam contendit et Eurystheo regi se in servitutem tradit. So Hercules, when he heard these things, so ubi is when, audivet is perfect tense, he heard. Haec here is your substantive neuter adjective. It literally means these, right? But it's neuter, so you want to make it these things because it's neuter plural. So it means when he heard all the things that the oracle, or rather the Pythia, had just said to him, right? He contended ad urbem. He hastened, right, to the city, right? And it's to that city, meaning the one that she told him to go to. And he trotted it, say, he handed himself over, right? So trotted it is the verb trotto, to hand over, right? The say is the reflexive pronoun. So it's just saying he kind of gave himself up or literally handed himself over
In servitutem means in servitude or in service, right? So he's doing exactly what the Pythia told him to do, right? Go there and be basically a servant to this king. That's what he does. And remember, when you have a verb of giving, showing, or telling, it's going to take a dative, right? You're looking for that dative because you're going to give something to someone. In this case, your verb of giving is trotted it, to hand over. So what is he handing over? Himself. There's your accusative. Who's he handing himself to? King Eurystheus. There's your dative, Eurystheorege, right? That's just the dative indirect object telling you who he gave himself over to in servitude, if that makes sense, okay? Then we go to the next line. You have duodecimanos, crudelissimo Eurystheos serviebat, et duodecim labores quos ille imparaverat confecit. So anos here is accusative, and it's talking about a year, so time. So it's this accusative of duration of time, we call it, right? When you use a timing word and you have the accusative going with it, you're saying for how long, basically, you did something. And duodecim is the length. It's 12. So when you put those together, you're saying for 12 years, serviebat, he was serving, right? Or he served, you might say. And this verb of serving, right, servio, servire, it also is related to the word for being a slave, right? Being a slave to is kind of it. So it does have that meaning as well. It's not just like, hey, I'm here to help. It is sort of you are in slavery, basically. And it gets a dative noun with it, right? Which is why you have the dative next to it. So he was, maybe a good way to translate it is he was being a slave to the most cruel, or the cruelest, right? There's your superlative, crudelissimo, the most cruel Eurystheus. So this king has a reputation of not being a very good guy, and that's who Hercules is forced to serve, right? But if you're wondering why you have a dative there, it's because serviebat, like, yes, it does mean he served technically, but it really means he was in service to someone, right? So it's going to take that dative. And duodecim labores, so we have something about 12 labors. It's a direct object, so you can go to the verb, confecit. He completed, right, 12 labors. The confecit there is just the idea of, completing something. And these are the famous 12 labors of Hercules. So you have a side note. It's the 12 labors, which, quos, it's a relative pronoun. It's describing labores, so it's accusative plural, right? So it's 12 labors, which he, meaning Eurystheus, ille is the king, right? He had commanded. Imparaverat is pluperfect tense. So it's saying he completed the 12 labors which he, the king, that guy, had commanded, right? Hercules does it. Then you finish with hoc enim uno modo tantum scelos expiare potuit. So hoc modo or hoc uno modo is ablative, right? And it's the ablative of manner. So you're saying for, almost you could say by this one way, or maybe you could simplify that translation, just say in this one way, might make more sense. The hoc is the this part, uno is one, and modo is what means way. So in this one way, meaning this is the only way you're going to be able to do this, potuit, he was able, right, expiare, to kind of like expunge. It's a passive infinitive from expio. It means to like cancel out, basically. Some people write expiate in, I think I'm saying that right, in commentaries, and I'm never quite sure what that means. So I just like to say clear, right, or get forgiveness for, is maybe one way to say it. But he was able to be cleansed is really what's happening here. It's a passive infinitive of this verb of cleansing, right? So it's not saying he was able to cleanse anything, but rather he was able to be cleansed, expunged, forgiven, you might say. And it's this tantum scelos of the wicked crime, right? So the wicked crime, rather, was able to be forgiven. Scelos there is your nominative. It's neuter singular. So I said that a little backwards. It's not he's forgiven. It's such a wicked crime was able to be forgiven. So if we do that last line again, you're saying in this one way, or by this one way, such a wicked crime, tantum scelos, was able to be cleansed, expiare, right? Your passive infinitive. So it's saying that the key thing there is the hoc uno modo. It's the only way this is going to work. You have to do these 12 labors. So he does them, right? Then and by the way, in this This slide, you can see in the bottom, this is a marble relief showing you the 12 labors of Hercules. So if you want to look up what they were, this is kind of giving you a snapshot. It's kind of a cool piece of art showing you the different things. You can see the stag, and that'll come up. You can see he's got the lion. We'll do that story of what he's actually doing with the lion, but it's showing you his 12 labors. So I'd encourage you to look these up on your own so you can understand the story moving forward. But then we have the next line. You have De his laboribus plurima a poeti scripta sunt. Right? So de just means about, and it goes with an ablative. So you're saying about these labors, de his laboribus, right? Meaning the 12 labors of Hercules. Plurima here, it means very many, right? But it's neuter plural. It's a superlative, so the most or very many. But because it's neuter nominative, right? It's going to be a substantive. So very many things is how you want to translate this, right? That neuter plural nominative. So very many things, scripta sunt. You have that perfect tense passive voice. Were written, right? So many things were written a poetis. When you have a passive voice verb, you're looking for that ablative of agent to tell you who did the action. In other words, who wrote it. And it's by the poets, right? By poets. So this line is saying, yeah, a lot of things have been written about, the 12 labors of Hercules, which is true. It's a very, very famous myth from ancient Greece. So again, this line just says about these labors, very many things have been written by poets. Then we end with this line. You have multa tamen, quae poetae naran, vix credibilia sunt. Okay? So many things, right? Multa, again, there is the substantive, right? Neuter, many things, that's your subject. However, which the poets tell, right? Poetae is your subject. The poets, narrant, they tell stories about, right? The quae is your relative pronoun. It's talking about the many things. So it's saying many things, however, which the poets tell, which scarcely or barely credibilia sunt they are barely credible, you might say. Credibilia means like believable, credible. Maybe believable is a better way to say it. So it's saying a lot of things have been written about these, but they're so out there that many of these things which they tell about, you can barely believe, right? Scarcely are believable, which is true. The 12 labors of Hercules are really, really kind of out there. They're, holding up the world and killing these invulnerable lions and all these things, right? You're going to see as you go. But it's setting up for now, moving forward, every chapter, give or take, is going to be one of his 12 labors, right? And some are longer than others, but it's going to walk you through the 12 labors of Hercules, which he has to do to offset the crime of murdering his family, right? So that's what he's trying to do. So the Latin in this section, nothing we haven't really seen before. I don't think any of it is particularly new. It's a lot of passive verbs, ablative of agent, things like that, some complementary infinitives. So hopefully you were able to read it and understand it pretty well. But if there's anything in here that you're not sure of and you're not entirely sure why I translated it that way, feel free to put it in the comments below. I'd be happy to help you. But otherwise, just keep working on it, practicing it, right? The more you read this, the more you're going to feel comfortable with the Latin. And hopefully at some point, if you have the vocab down, you'll be able to read it and enjoy it without being kind of stuck in the dictionary over and over again. That's the place you want to get to. If you're not there yet, that's fine. Just keep practicing it, but eventually you will hit that point. So if you need anything, let me know. But otherwise, good luck.